said no.
No, not those pickles, Virgie. The Bills. Steve always liked Bills the best. You know, I still think that was the silliest thing to do, sending him off to bed the moment he got home.
Shh, Addie, keep that voice down. First thing you know, he'll be hearing you.
And what if he does? I'll bet you he thought it was silly too. 2 whole years since we've seen him, and the minute he sticks his head in the door, you say, "Why, Steve, but you look tired." And you rush him up to bed, and the rest of us just stand here gaping after him, like we would be in the comfort of furniture or something. Even Daddy didn't get a chance to say more than hello.
We've got to be awfully careful with him. He's been sick, you know that.
He looked okay to me.
Oh, but he looks so utterly weary. Mother, did you notice his eyes? Almost like he's too tired to even focus them. Sort of like he was in a dream, wasn't it?
I noticed. I couldn't help but notice.
Oh, heck. I bet he could beat up a dozen men right this minute if he had to.
Never mention anything about fighting or war or anything that will remind him of what he's been through. You know how many times we've been over this? I sure hope your dad gets back before Steve comes down so I can caution him again too.
He just laughed the whole thing off like he did that letter.
Well, why shouldn't he? The letter said he got hit in the leg, not in the head.
Oh, stop quoting Daddy. You don't know a thing about it.
Well, I can read, can't I? And it didn't come out right and say he was a
Psychoneurotic. But it did say to be careful with him. And why else should we have to be careful with him if he wasn't? Mother, how did Mrs. Sorensen find out about the hospital where Steve was?
She called her sister long distance, and she said that hospital practices entirely in mental cases. Why, there isn't a question in her mind what his problem was. We'll have to be awfully careful.
Oh, I know. I read a lot about psychoneurotics. They live in a world all their own, you know? We must never startle them, or force them into anything, or remind them of anything, because if you do, they'll just move right into their own little world for good.
well, if you act like that around him, he probably will.
Poor Clara. This is going to be so hard for her.
What did you tell her over the phone?
I told her just to stop by very casually and just to treat him like he's never been away. Oh, but she's counted on his coming home so much. And now she's going to have to wait for goodness knows how long.
Oh, never mind. She can make herself another quilt. She's made just 13 of them.
She's only made 12. The last one was just a spread.
You know, I think she feels kind of hurt. Steve didn't write her very often the past few months. In fact, hardly at all.
Well, little wonder in his condition.
He wrote us.
Pat, I think that's your father driving in. Go tell him to come in just as soon as he can. Gotta tell him what Mrs. Sorensen said before Steve comes down.
Steve's up now, Mother. I can hear him.
Daddy's coming right in.
Oh, dear, I won't have time to speak to your father. Now just remember, girls, don't ask Steve anything about the Army, about his future plans, about anything. Just remember to act perfectly normal, just like he's never been away.
Patty, don't stare so much.
What? I've never seen one before.
Well, son, you certainly look well rested. And how in the world did you waken right on the dot at 2 o'clock? Well, everything's ready. I mean, everything's on. Here's your old seat. You'll sit right here and...
Thanks, Mom. Oh, you had a nap, huh, Steve? I bet you didn't have many naps when you were in the Marines.
Father, sit down. Sit down.
Yeah.
All of you, come on now. I know Steve is just starved to death.
I say, I bet you didn't have many naps when you were in the...
Come on, Pat.
This is the same thing we had for supper Thursday and Friday night. I say, Steve.
Have a roll, Will.
Bet you didn't have any meals like this when you were in the...
Stevie, did I ever write you about Martin Runstead? You know, they took him to the hospital. Oh, crap.
That's so. Sorry to hear that.
Oh, well, he's fine now, just fine. You... Have some of these dills, Steve. You always did like dills.
That's too bad about old Martin. Why, I heard one morning right after breakfast, he went to the medicine cabinet and took out...
Virgie, run down to the basement and get some choke cherry jelly. You just love choke cherry jelly, don't you, Stevie?
I'll get it.
Please. What in the world is the matter with you women? You haven't let him get a word in edgewise, and you haven't let me finish one darn thing I've started to say. Just because he hasn't heard me female fucking for 3 years, there's no reason to overdo now. Steve, how does it feel to be home?
Why, it feels fine, of course, Will.
Inez, let the man speak for himself. When he got in here an hour ago, you rushed him upstairs like he had a temperature of 104. And now you're finishing his sentences like he doesn't have a mind of his own.
You have them, haven't you, Steve? Just because you're a psycho.
Patty, pass the butter.
Steve, how do you like to be home?
Well, man, I like it fine. I'm a little bewildered with everything, but yeah, it's good to be home.
You're bewildered.
Steve, you realize you've been home almost 2 hours and haven't asked one thing about Clara?
Good grief, how in the world could he?
I don't know what she's going to think about it. She's so much counted on your coming home.
I think she really thought you'd call on her first. She's taken her privilege off of her too now for a whole month.
She's the sweetest thing. Hasn't changed one bit.
She has too. She got that.
That, she has not. She's matured a little, naturally. Everyone matures a little when they grow older. She's just right now. Just the way a woman ought to look.
She's hippie. All she does is sit down all day and crochet.
Why, she has hardly anything with crocheting on. Just those 3 pair of pillow slips and that medallion spread. Oh, a few little odds and ends, of course. But most of her things are either cut work or have knitted lace on.
She crocheted a table cover, Mother. Don't you remember? She said that made 16 table covers she's made now with napkins.
Stevie, you hear that? You won't have to buy a thing. Why, she's just made everything.
Everything but money.
Why should she have to go to work? After all, she's getting ready for her future with Stevie.
Maybe so, but Hortense Johnson never would have gotten a man if she didn't go to work.
Clara didn't have to go to work to get a man. She's already got Stevie. I knew you'd want to see her just as soon as you could. So I phoned her and told her you were home. She should be dropping in any minute now. We'll finish lunch early so you two can be alone. You'd like that, wouldn't you, Stevie?
What?
To be alone with Clara.
Well, why?
Why does any man want to be alone with his girl?
Well, I don't know why does he?
I thought you said non-horse psychoneurotic.
Patty, eat your lunch.
Horse, what?
Psychoneurotics.
It's nothing, Will. Stevie, Virgie has a boyfriend.
Oh, Mother, I do not. He just drops in every now and then.
Yeah, I know he's at mealtime. Wonder how in the world you ever missed this one.
Well, you certainly don't begrudge the boy the little food he does eat here. You know he's trying to build himself up.
If Eaton can do it, that boy will be an Olympic athlete. He can eat more than a dozen men. He's skinny. He looks like a freshly plucked brain. I have no clue how he keeps his grooves figured.
Oh, good heavens, that must be Clara. We can have our dessert later. Let's clear out and leave them alone.
Don't be so soft, Inez. They got the next 70 years to be alone and miserable. Right now, I'm gonna eat my pie.
Well, hello, Mrs. Sorensen. Won't you come in? Oh, you're Edie. Well, I shan't stay a minute. Now, don't get up. I just came to welcome home this fine, stalwart son of yours. Isn't it a thrill to have our heroes, our
I always heard from you women folk, it was quite an ordeal.
Oh, you're still eating. Oh, no, we're quite through.
Well, you mustn't stand up. No, goodness, no. Come, sit down. You mustn't tire yourself. Whatever you do, you mustn't tire yourself.
Well,
Huh? Don't force yourself to talk. Whatever you do, don't force yourself to talk.
It wouldn't call for as much force as taking a Iwo Jima.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that. That's why it's going to be so hard, so very, very hard on our dear, dear boys. People are so careless. They just don't think.
Steve, how'd you like to come out and check the old place over?
Now, don't answer or say yes unless you really want to. That's the main thing you have to remember is never let anyone talk you into anything unless you really honestly want to do it. Remember, it's dangerous.
Yeah, rabbits might climb to pieces. Come on, Steve.
Oh dear. You're certainly going to have a time of it, aren't you?
I'll be so happy once he's adjusted again.
Oh, well, don't get your hopes too high. It takes years, I've heard, before some of them get back to normal. Others never do.
Oh, I won't let myself believe he's that bad. A day or two, and I really believe he'll be all right again.
Oh, dear. You have to be brave and face the facts. He really is hesitant, isn't he? Did you see how long it took him to make up his mind over that simple little decision?
Well, how could he with all you yelling at him?
Patty, you and Virgie start on the dishes.
Well, we are, but we haven't had our...
Right now, Patty.
It's very obvious that he's hesitant. You know they use the shock treatment for that? It's really quite easy. Anyone can do it. Let's see, they use electricity or insulin. You know my sister's husband is a diabetic. He can't live without his insulin. Always has plenty on hand. I say, I'll swing by and grab a bottle or two and kiss my dog, and we'll get to work on your son. I bet it's just what he needs.
I wouldn't dare do anything without a doctor's order. I think all that's wrong with him is he's just a little bewildered, change and all.
Oh dear, bewildered? That's bad. You have to use far more drastic measures with that type. You see, I know all about these things. I have a friend in the state hospital and I visit her every opportunity I get. It's really quite fascinating, the cases you run into down there. There's one patient. She killed her husband. Do you want to know what she used? An ordinary butter knife. And you know she's just as proud as can be of that. Well, they tried the shock treatment with her, but...
How'd you get it in him?
Patty, I thought I told you to do the dishes.
Well, I am, but couldn't kill a kid with our knives.
Patty, go on out.
Children are such morbid little dears, aren't they? No, they tried the shock treatment with Lucy, but that was her name. But never worked. Now they're going to try prolonged sleep therapy. And I really do think that is the best bet for your boy. You get enough sleeping pills and sedatives to put him to sleep for 2 weeks.
Well, Uncle already made him sleep half the afternoon away, and he didn't like it at all.
You want your brother to be normal again, don't you?
Looks like he isn't going to have much chance.
It's very fun-loving, Mrs. Sorensen, but we wouldn't dream of doing anything without our physician's advice.
Well, is that the way you feel? Well, I was merely passing on the facts of cases like his that I've picked up. But if you would rather go to the expense and humiliation of calling a doctor in, then be my guest. But I want you to be careful, Until you do get a hold of a doctor, I'd watch. You already said that he's bewildered, and it's very obvious that he's becoming hesitant. I bet the next thing you notice is some startling reaction. I just want to warn you. I want you to be on your guard. You have other members in your family, you know. But I must be going. I just wanted to bring you these magazines so you can read up on a few things.
Oh, hello, Willie. Come on in.
Well, she gets around a lot, doesn't she?
Yes, I suppose so, Willie.
Why, she was just in our house this morning. Says that vitamin B2 plus is wheat germ is what I need. Says it'll build anybody up. What do you think?
I'm sure I don't know, Willie.
Oh, gosh, you eaten already?
Yes, all but the pie.
Oh,
You see?
what kind you got?
Coconut cream.
Oh, I just adore it. It's very fattening. I should probably eat as much as I can, don't you think?
Yes, Willie.
Hello, Willie.
Hi, Virgin. You smell wonderful.
I just took a pie out of the oven. Did you know Steve was home?
Oh, nothing in all the world smells that good. Is he very thin?
No, Willie. He looks fine.
Well, speaking of looking fine, hey, quite nice build on me now.
You're picking up, Willie.
Virgie, you haven't finished out there.
Oh, do you need help with any kind of Virgin? I'd be glad to do anything to help.
Great. It's about time to learn to do the dishes.
Maybe there's a few odds and ends I can clean up.
Hello, Rachel. Has Claire left yet? Oh, a little while ago. Oh, okay. So I expect her any time now. Oh, never mind. She just walked in. Thank you. Well, hello. Hello, Claire. I was wondering if you were coming. Well, where is he? Am I going to tell him a thing or two? You'd think I was just a casual acquaintance instead of the girl he's going to marry. Now, what's all this hush stuff you were telling me about on the telephone? Is he starting to act like Tucker Petrak? To tell you the truth, no, I did not. But I really think he's all right. You know, I think it was Mrs. Sorensen getting me all stirred up that started me imagining things. Why, she's got Stevie in a padded cell for the rest of his life. And she has nothing to base it on, except that I said he acted a little hesitant. Well, I'll soon take that out of him. All he needs is someone to manage him. Oh, she said we shouldn't force him into anything. Nonsense! He's used to being forced. Besides, I'm not gonna wait around for a whole year while he hopes. I wanna get married. I've got everything ready, and you know that. I just know Stevie will be crazy over your things, especially the cut work. No, sir. I don't want to wait around. I want to get married so I can start to eat normally again. Well, let's go out and find Stevie. His father probably took him up to see the boysenberries. You know, every time another one of them berries ripens, that man thinks the family has to go up and see it. Hey, is Virgie still in the kitchen? Yes. I want to ask her if she got that doily pattern from Francis. Hello, Miss Cameron. Oh, hello, Mary Alice.
Do you ever tell us more how he looks?
No, it's quite all right. Help yourself. They're right there in that bottom drawer. We're going outside for a minute.
Okay, I got to do all the kids over. I painted yellow, but they're not. They're orange.
Who are you?
Very out
Where do you live?
with my mom and my dad.
Oh, you guys bought the old Anderson place.
We sure got stung too.
Is it that bad?
Never buy anything when prices are high. Oh, sorry. Why do we even have mice and everything?
Oh, that is bad.
My mama thinks we got bad bed bugs upstairs. Something bit me right here. See?
No, that's no good at all.
Wait a second. You don't look very sick to me.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. You know that old lady with the fat stomach and big mouth?
That talks all the time.
Well, she's over to our place now, and she said you were sure a pitiful sight to see.
She's an encouraging old gal, ain't she?
She said she just knows it'll never be the same again.
Not if I have to live around her all the time.
But you are all right, aren't you?
Can you keep a secret? Cross your heart?
Cross my heart.
I'm not sick, but don't tell anybody.
Huh? But why?
I'm getting a kick out of letting them think I lost my mind.
kittens are orange.
Did you see him?
It sure seems awfully crazy to me how a yellow cat can have orange kittens. You think if I wash them away, they turn yellow?
Never watched a cat, Mary Alice. They kick spit bats.
That's what Mama gives me when she sees someone come up the walk.
Pat, did I get any mail today?
Nope. We won't have to write you anymore, will we?
Well, your letters were the only ones I enjoyed reading, Pat.
Really? Teacher said I wrote uphill worse than anyone in the room.
Yeah, but you were the only one who wrote me anything. Your letters were the only one I liked reading, especially the one where you sent Virgie's pink sweater over so I could trade it for an Island Girl's grass skirt.
Oh. Well, don't tell Virgie what happened to that sweater. She still doesn't know.
I won't squeal on you, kid.
Why didn't you like what the others wrote?
They didn't write me much news. Occasionally, Dad would write and tell me about his berries, but that's about it.
But they wrote pages and pages. What'd they tell you?
Mostly what I had to do when I got home.
You mean about marrying Clara, don't you?
Boy, they sure got their hearts set on it.
Uh-huh. Everything's all arranged. She's even bought her wedding invitations and she's got the dress. It's that shiny white looking stuff. I personally think it makes her look fat, but everyone else says she's just darling in it.
No, I can just hear them now.
They think they'll have your wedding a week from Friday. Beatrice Potter and the two Walls girls are going to be bridesmaids.
Well, who'd they find to be the groom?
Don't be silly, Steve. You can't get out of it. Why? She's practically part of the family. Mom doesn't make a move without bringing her along. Virgie's getting exactly like. She used to be a pretty good kid. She'd go swimming and everything. But now, all she wants to do is sit and crochet all day. But never gonna catch me doing it. Not if she's gonna be my sister-in-law.
Well, between you and me, Pat, she's not.
How are you gonna get at it?
Well, I haven't figured that out yet.
Don't you still love her anymore?
I'm not sure I ever did. She just anchored on to me sometime back in high school.
Oh, I know. She's like a wood pig, isn't she?
Hey, actually, like, take up in the canyon, see? Right here. And Daddy put gasoline on and he backed right out.
Hey, that's an idea.
Don't you ever want to get married?
Well, sure, but not to Clara.
Oh, so you're falling in love with an island girl.
Yeah, she's got a big ring in her nose, too.
Well, don't tell the folks about it, or they'll think you're even more of a psycho to whatever it is. Than you already are.
That's why all the hush-hush was at dinner. Where'd they ever get that idea anyway?
Oh, from Mrs. Sorensen, along with that letter from the hospital saying they have to be careful with you. But they're all crazy. I know there's nothing wrong with you.
Mrs. Sorensen said she'll never be the same again.
Mary Alice, you better go on home. I bet your mom wants you.
All right. I've only got half the kittens turned orange in here. There's so many of them.
We'll throw the rest of them orange at home. Now scram!
Bye.
Bye! Gee, sorry I said anything I did. I wouldn't want to make you feel bad or anything.
You made me feel fine, Pat, just fine.
Oh, hey, here comes Sarah along now. You're in for it. I'm going swimming. I bet you wish you were.
You're not kidding.
Well, here he is at last. We've been all over the place looking for you.
Here he is, Clara. Well, for heaven's sakes, I finally found you. Well, aren't you glad to see me?
Of course he is. He could hardly wait. Well, I guess I'll leave the two of you alone.
No, don't run out, Mother. We don't mind if you hang around with me, Clara.
Well, I guess I don't mind if you don't, or I'm not bashful if you're not. Come on, Stevie. Come over here and sit on the couch beside me. Come on. Isn't this just the way you always dreamed we'd be? Only in a little home of our own, of course.
Oh, won't it be wonderful, though? Oh,
What about a bigger couch?
For smaller people.
And don't think we've been sitting around while you've been gone either. No, sir. We've been working night and day to get things ready. Well, you'll be surprised to see what we already have to go towards our home.
You won't have to buy a thing.
And Father's giving us that lot on the corner right next to our place.
And guess what? He said you could move right in with them until you can build. Isn't that wonderful, Stevie?
Lots of girls have just gone crazy, chasing all over the country, working in factories and hospitals. But I knew you'd rather me just stay sweet and womanly and wait for you.
I think a week from Friday wouldn't be too soon for the wedding. That'll be a good date, don't you think, Stevie?
Do you hear them? They're coming! They're coming! Get your hands up! Get up! Get your hands up! They're coming! Get up! Don't let them have it, boys! Let them have it! Shoot them! Shoot them right now! Come on, get it! Hurry up, Will! Look at you, yellow! Let them have it! Oh, they got him!
Stay here. Quick, Claire. Get Dr. White on the phone.
Oh,
dear.
What happened? Did I faint?
Oh, well, Steve, you tell him, Clara. Oh, well, maybe you shouldn't. I don't know if he ought to know.
Well, I certainly will, so he can get a hold of himself. I surely don't want to go through that again. What is all down on the floor shooting machine guns?
Oh, that's not good. They said I was on fast though. That's terrible.
Stevie.
Well, it certainly is. You mean to tell me you don't even know when these spells are going to happen? They just come anytime?
Yeah, it's bad, I guess, the way I act.
Well, it certainly is. You practically scared us to death.
Well, I guess there's only one thing to do. I'll just have to go back to the hospital.
Oh, Steve, I just can't let you go back.
I would say not. We'll take care of you here. Just tell me what to do and I'll take care of you.
Well, I don't know what they did.
I'll move right in with your family and I'll never leave you for a minute. Not your day.
Just let me go back.
Say, would it be possible for one of those nurses that took care of you to come and stay for a while just until we can handle you ourselves?
Well, it's possible. It's highly irregular, but the one that knew the most about it is having leave in a couple of weeks, and maybe she could jump the leave up and come on here a little early.
Oh, if she only could.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll write her a letter today, and I'll have that drive it down to the post office. I'll get it right in the mail.
Oh, Stevie, if she can only come, it will be such a relief.
Yeah, it sure will.
And we'll have her stay for just a day. Just long enough for me to get the hang of the thing. And then I'll take the best care of my elves. Neither go to West of his wife.
Well, if you think it's the wisest thing to do, I guess we better go out.
How am I going to learn to do these treatments if I don't talk?
Let's get it back to normal first before you assume too much responsibility for it. Rest and quiet are so necessary at first. More than one person in the room often disrupts everything that's accomplished.
Come on, Clara.
All right. But I moved over here just purposely so I could learn to give them these treatments.
You're the only treatment I'm gonna need.
You're so full of shit. How long do you think she
Well, I don't know, but I'm gonna need these treatments for a long time.
That girl looks at you like she's been married to you for at least 20 years. She's not gonna be any pushover, I can tell you that.
That's why the SOS. Why, in a week they was planning to take me over.
Well, you didn't win that medal for bravery for nothing, you know.
What's a whole regiment compared to Clara?
Suppose you'd go through with it if I hadn't come.
No, I'm just like an old mule. All I go so far, and then look out.
She'd take good care of you, as anyone could plainly see. She's just bubbling over with housewifery.
Well, how did I know she was going to be so thorough in her campaign?
You have enough buddy or two, someone she could mother, do you?
Well, I suppose I do, but not within shouting distance. I suppose there's plenty of guys who think she's all right.
Might be passing up something yourself. Better think it over.
You know how I feel. I can't even look at her because
Because you had a snub-nosed nurse made you wash your own back, clip your own toenails, and
I decided I'd have to cure her being ornery. And then I found out that that's going to be a lifetime job. Do you really like me?
well, I shouldn't. But darn it, Steve, I do. I just wish we weren't here. I don't like playing games behind people's backs.
Well, I never had you on to. I never thought you'd want to give up and take a battle.
Why don't you just be straightforward and honest about the whole thing? It's kinder in the long run.
Well, I wanted to. But before I could get my second wind, they had it all planned out.
And poor old Stevie couldn't take it.
You don't know the setup. You know, my mother and Rachel Curtis have been friends for years. They've been planning this wedding since the day we were born.
The Chinese pick out their sons' wives, too.
There was some dirt on that.
Maybe there was. I still say, this is America. When you don't like something, you just come out in the open and publish it. That way it's all cleared up and everyone's happy.
Well, you know the ending. Why worry your pretty little head? You don't know my mom. She's told her friends. She's made plans. This will just kill her.
Sometimes mother's mother a little too much. When you think your head's below the belt, marry Claire and make everyone happy.
Hurry, somebody's coming. Give me a massage.
What's she doing to you?
Nothing.
I'm here real nervous and just want to rotate.
She can eat you right out of here if you make another comment like that. She's a lieutenant in the nurse corps.
Well, are female lieutenants the same as male lieutenants?
No, they're easier to look at.
You handle these hormone introductions so well, I'm beginning to feel like something in a zoo.
You don't need no introduction to Willie here. He's just like the air you breathe, always around.
Well, you must know what you're doing as your lieutenant. Does that build the man up or tear him down?
Neither one, just tickle.
Oh. Well, something good.
It puts him to sleep.
If no one's around to disturb his emotional balance.
Well, does she often?
What do you mean?
Disturb your emotional balance.
Oh, for crying out loud.
What he's trying to tell you about hurting your feelings is that you shouldn't be in the room.
Oh, don't worry about hurting my feelings. I'm not sensitive, hardly at all. You see, I know you won't be here that long, and I thought I'd better take this opportunity to talk to you, because I want to talk to a nurse for a long time. I got a lot of questions I want to ask.
Well, then write a letter to Mr. Webster, kid.
I did write it, but you ignored me.
Well, then shoot him at Shirley here a couple of weeks from now. Because I'm a very sick man who's on the verge of almost anything if you don't get out of here.
Well, if you ask me, that's quite the exaggeration. Because I know Shirley won't be here more than a couple of days. Claire just got through saying that's one thing she'd be sure of.
Well, if that's so.
In that case, we better get your questions cleared up now.
Well, so my father's 175 pounds and my mother's 210 pounds. So why do I look like this?
Maybe you're a throwback.
You don't throw anything back.
I think I eat averagely well.
Well, that's an understatement if I ever heard one.
Maybe his taste buds run to the less fattening foods.
His taste buds run to all foods. Why, food goes into that kid like grain into a combine.
Do you think Schwarzenegger could do anything for me?
Do I ever?
I told you about this one exercise. You just take 2 chairs, see? Like this, and then every night before bed, you let yourself up and down 20 times. Like this.
Worked well.
Maybe I should take some vitamins.
That's it. A couple of pills, you'll be a new man.
Well, do you really think that would help?
Well,
Sure it'll help. I'd run down the drugstore today and get you a bottle.
Well, if you really think it'll help.
Sure it'll help.
Well, I hate to have this fail too, because if it does, people are going to start to talk.
Well, aren't you the super salesman? Why, you were wasting your time in the Marines. You could sell long underwear in Africa.
The problem with that kid is he's weak and he eats too much. And it makes him poor to carry it around, see?
I thought I tiptoed in here. Well, for heaven's sakes. That seems a pretty strenuous exercise for an invalid.
Well, just a little stimulation, you know, to keep the blood flowing.
Miss Anderson said it was rest and quiet that you needed.
Well, along with the rest and quiet, a little stimulation is important too. Isn't it, Lieutenant?
Very important. It's a basic psychoanalytic therapy that relieves phobia and results in orientation.
Well, it all sounds a bit silly to me, and I'm not so sure it isn't. Is he asleep? Asleep? She practically had him standing on his head.
Well, it's just a little equilibrium test. You know, to see if the thing's balanced or unbalanced.
my guess is unbalanced.
There's something unbalanced around here. Yeah. Well, I suppose it's necessary to continue with orientation. See, the next part is the walk. Once around the hospital and down through the west corridor is the same as once around the orchard and back down the north driveway. Well, should we go?
I thought you couldn't remember a thing they did for you at the hospital.
Well, I couldn't. It must be the stimulation. That's right, isn't it, nurse?
Nurses are not allowed to diagnose, fortunately.
Nor tie them up either.
Who does she think she's fooling? What's the matter?
Don't you think she can handle him very well?
I think she can handle him too well. I saw through her the minute she came through the door.
Oh, I'm sure she's a trained nurse. You can see that in her every movement.
I saw a lot more than that. I know her type. Always taking a job where they can be next to a man. You know, I think the government ought to do something about women like her.
Well, as long as she works on Steve and gets him back to normal, that's all I'll ask.
Back to normal. If she wanted him well, she wouldn't hang around him so much.
Well, now you're just exaggerating things in your own mind, Clara. Nurses have to touch their patients. You've got to think of them as angels of mercy with a mother's touch.
Oh, she's got the touch all right. You see the way she grabbed his arm when they went out the door? Just sick as him. I'll see how he can stand her.
Well, she won't be here many days.
You bet your life she won't. Because if you think I'm going to let a woman like her mess up my plans, you've got another thing coming. Well, I've stayed home and worked like a slave, and what has she done? Not a thing. Not a thing. And I'll tell you this much. It's not that I couldn't have gotten another man. Anybody knows that I could. Well, there's Ed Smith. I can hardly go out of the house without stepping on him. And he's doing plenty well in the chicken business, too. No, I've stayed home and stayed as loyal to Stevie as a mother is to her only child. And you know that.
Gosh, did you make him go to bed?
To bed, she's practically making him go on a mile hike.
Oh, swell. You were all pampering him so much, you wouldn't let him do anything.
She was the one that said that he needed rest.
Well, sometimes it's
want to get away from us. We're the ones he loves the most.
I'm beginning to wonder.
Well, don't blame Stevie, Clara. He doesn't realize exactly what's happening to him.
I'll admit it, he's being slightly broke, but he knows all right. You ask me, this is a put-up job.
Now, Clara, you don't know what you're talking about. You know as well as I do that Steve had that bad spell just a couple days ago. You were right in the room.
I'm beginning to think that was for our special benefit too.
Why, Clara Curtis, you cannot talk about my Stevie Poo-Poo like that.
Hello, guys.
Oh, hi, Mary Alice.
If parents give me the baby, don't mind.
Yeah, I'll think of a few rooms somewhere. Go ahead and sit on him.
You don't think he'd resort to anything that mean and low? Well, I was almost frightened to death when he had that spell. And you were too. He's just not right yet. We might as well admit it.
That old lady with the fat stomach and big behind said he'll never be right again.
You know, he's had that strange look in his eyes most of the time, too. I can't exactly explain it, but it's sort of like he...
Like he was a rabbit being cornered?
Probably put on for our benefit.
Now, I'll have to admit, Mrs. Sorensen has been exaggerating his condition, but he did have that spell, and he's been sick. You know that as well as I do. We've got to be patient with him.
He's not sick.
You don't know anything about it.
I do too. I asked him, and he said he was okay, only that it was a secret.
See, I told you. Him and that nurse have had this all arranged since before he ever left the hospital.
Oh, don't be so silly. Don't take any stock in what Mary Alice says. She's always rattling on about something she knows nothing about.
I am not. I asked him, and he said it was okay. Only everyone was getting such a big kick out that he wasn't. He was gonna stay that way.
Mary Alice, you can make up stories faster than a horse can trot. Here, Patty, let's give her some crayons and let her go on home. Here. Go on now. Walk quickly. Bye-bye.
But just ask him.
That's just what I intend to do.
Oh, don't be silly. Remember, I was the one that suggested he get a nurse, remember?
Yeah, but he had one in mind he wanted, remember? Oh, I'm not saying Steve wants it to be like this. I just think he's being hypnotized. And with a woman like her, he has a ghost of a chance of escaping. I'll tell you this much. I'm not going to let her make a fool out of me. I'm going to do something about it.
What can you do, Clara?
I'm going to go home and put my wedding invitations in the mail.
She'll be sorry. I know.
What do you mean she'll be sorry?
Steve's not gonna marry her.
Well, he most certainly will, because if he doesn't, he'll not only be making a fool out of Clara, but out of his own family, too.
But you don't want him to marry her if he doesn't love her, do you?
He couldn't help loving her. She's such a good girl.
But, I mean, Mom, men sometimes.
Patty, I've simply got to start keeping you home from the movies. I'll have a talk with Stevie and make him understand that he's hurting poor Clara's feelings. Poor girl.
Why do you think poor Stevie?
Well, I am. He'll never be happy until he's settled down. No man is.
Well, I know this much. You better stop telling them who he's got married and when, or he'll blow up and clear out.
Patty, you don't know a thing about it. He couldn't love anybody but Clara. He's just a little unsettled, that's all. I think Clara's right. She ought to act, and act fast.
Hey, Steve and his nurse are coming back.
Oh, heavens. I forgot to put the vegetables on. Come on, Patty. You shove peas while I start peeling the potatoes.
She's kind of cute though, isn't she? Even if she's got freckles.
Well, it seems I got a private room for now anyway. They must have decided I'm a serious case after all.
They probably decided you have no case at all.
Oh, I got a bag for you, snub nose.
I used to live in a house with an orchard around it. That orchard housed me, my dolls, and all my dreams. I'll never forget the night I left my most very prettiest doll Buffy out under the tree and...
Did it rain?
No, the dog found her and completely and utterly destroyed her.
But you nursed her back to health.
I did not. I wept gallons of tears and hated that dog till his dying day.
Gallons of tears, and you know, I've never seen you shed a single tear. Do you ever?
Once in a while when no one's looking. Nurses are supposed to be great big girls without hearts or emotions.
Not you, snub nose. You never fooled me for a minute.
I'm as tough as the next one, Sergeant Cameron, and you know it. Softies don't become lieutenants.
I didn't say you weren't capable. I just said you hadn't let your heart turn into a piece of hospital equipment.
You never talked to the fellows on Ward 6. They called me their ironclad.
Well, then why'd you give me such a break?
I don't know. Sometimes when I think about it, I just can't figure out how it happened.
I know what it was. It was that night that I grabbed your wrist to see what time it was, and couldn't for the life of me let go.
No, it goes back much farther than that.
Was it the night you had to lift me off the toilet?
No, it goes back to our very first night.
Our first night? That's no fair. The first time I was there, I was delirious as a bat.
Oh yeah, and most of the time you're about as easy to handle as a wild man. But after a sedative or two, when you quiet down and gone to sleep, you look for all the world as a tired little boy. Have you ever seen yourself sleep?
I snore.
Oh, you're about as full of contentment as a 2-year-old.
Well, who wouldn't be content with you by his side?
Close your eyes.
What?
Go on, close them.
I don't think I'd like to be a nurse. They do such dumb things, don't they?
Patty, haven't you ever learned to whistle or something?
Yeah, I'd be glad I wasn't Clara. She thinks that's a sillier treatment than staying down on your head.
Yeah, I suppose she would.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed I could die.
Oh, don't worry about it. Pat won't say anything.
I wish you would. I'm so sick of this behind the back crap. I just want to run away from the whole thing.
Why worry your pretty little head? You know the ending. You know how it all turns out.
It's always jittery business meeting your future in-laws for the first time. But when your in-laws are spending all their efforts towards marrying your boyfriend off to another girl, you'd just rather not be around.
I never had you down for one dessert to think about.
But it's such a one-sided battle, and this side is too obviously in retreat.
That's what you think. I've as much as told Clara by the way I've acted that the whole thing's off.
She looked far from defeated the last time I saw her.
Well, you don't worry about it. I'll figure this whole thing out the next time I run into her. How many more days before you sign back in?
11 and a half. Why?
Well, then we can have a 10.5-day honeymoon if we get married tonight.
Steve, you're crazy. It just won't work out that fast.
Sure it will. You want me to marry Clara?
Your family will never forgive you if you don't.
I was worried about my family. Listen, we got a cabin up on Fish Creek. We'll make up a pack, we'll round up a couple of horses. You ever rode You ever rode a horse, Snub-Nose?
Well, I've never rode one on a honeymoon before. But I still see you're crazy. It won't work out that fast.
Sure it will. Yeah?
Oh, you scamp, you! Why didn't you tell me sooner? I'm just thrilled to death. But what does your nurse think of it? I assume you are his nurse, although you look awfully young to assume such responsibility.
This is Lieutenant Shirley Anderson. She's a lieutenant in the nurse corps, and she can assume a great deal of responsibility.
Well, isn't it amazing? It's hardly more than a high school girl. Well, this is just personal, of course, but I've always preferred a large, matronly type of nurse. Someone that can really take it, you know. They were really bad.
Well, what did you do when they cut into me?
And then I had a tumor. I wish you could have seen it. It was the largest one the doctor had in all of his medical experience. And then, believe it or not, I had a kidney and a tumor. Tell me, nurse, do you have much experience with kidneys? Of course you don't. You're such an inexperienced nurse.
Well, I thought I heard your voice, Mrs. Sorensen. Won't you sit down?
Well, thank you, Inez, but no. I just came to congratulate Stevie. Isn't it a thrill? And to think so soon. But nurse, you don't think this will cause any sort of emotional setback, do you?
I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, for good heavens. Stevie, you haven't been keeping this from her, have you? You really shouldn't. She might not approve at all.
She's not gonna approve.
Read this. Clara gave me mine on the way to the post office this morning. She said that you've had them all addressed and ready to go since the day you got home. Isn't that thrilled? It shows how really eager they are, doesn't it? Oh, nurse, you didn't say if it was okay if they went ahead or not.
I think it's perfectly all right. In fact, I don't know why they waited this long.
Well, I guess that only gives you a week to get ready now, doesn't it?
Yes, just a week. But we'll manage. Clara is such a capable girl.
Oh, she is, isn't she? And she'll take such good care of her little Stevie. I call you Stevie because Clara calls you Stevie. It's almost like we're the same person. Well, I better be going. I just let me know if you need anything and I'll
Sorensen.
meanwhile, I'll spread the good news.
Yes, please do.
Did you know anything about this?
Well, yes, I heard Clara say she was going to put the invitations in the mail.
Well, why didn't you stop her? She didn't say a word to me about it.
Now, don't be so cross, Stevie. And don't go humiliating Clara over these invitations either.
Well, I won't have to. She's done humiliating herself.
What do you mean?
I mean, I'm not gonna marry her.
Steve, do you realize what you're saying?
Absolutely.
You couldn't do a thing like that to Clara. You wouldn't dare.
Oh, wouldn't I?
Well, think of poor Clara and of all of us. How do you think this will make us look? You can't do this, Stevie. You just can't.
I'm not gonna marry her.
Then you couldn't find a better wife than Clara. I don't care how many street corners you've looked on. Now, you never have to worry about another thing as long as you live. She'd just look after you like a mother.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Why, she'd see to every little detail.
Yeah, like mailing these wedding invitations.
Well, good heavens, Steve, a girl can't wait forever.
Well, she's gonna have to as far as I'm concerned.
Hush now, Steve, she's coming. If you say one word to her about this, before I've had more time to talk to you, I will kick your ass.
Everyone I told is just thrilled to death. Clara's gonna make her little Stevie so happy.
Hey, what are you doing? Where are you going?
To the station.
You can't leave, you gotta stay here.
But I am.
Well, hold on, let me go get the car.
Don't worry. Call the taxi.
Well, you can't leave, you gotta stay here and take care of me.
Don't worry. Claire will
just think of how this will make us look. The whole town. Everybody will be so let down.
So will Clara. She'll be let down. She wouldn't like it one bit, and I wouldn't either if we got married.
What makes you think that I'm so hard to get along with? Everybody I talk to says I'm the easiest going person they know.
Well, Clara, maybe it ain't your fault. Maybe it's something that just happened is all.
It's that nurse. That's what it is. Right. She came out here just to get you, didn't she?
That's why you mailed those wedding invitations.
Sure did. Because if I can't get you one way, I'll get you another. You're not gonna make a fool out of me.
Good job, Bruce.
I mentioned when I said I'm not going to marry you, Clara. So why don't you quit your blubbering and just realize the whole thing's over?
You're going to marry me. Tilly's got to.
See,
Oh, get out of the way. Clara, why don't you forget this whole thing? You quit your blubbering. You make me feel like I just pulled the leg off a grasshopper.
oh well, thank heavens you came home early. If we ever needed you in our life, now would be the time. Steve has this crazy idea in his head that he's not going to marry Clara. And she's already mailed the invitations and everything.
I could have never dreamed of mailing them, but I thought he'd be just thrilled to death. Everybody else I've talked to
Well, at a time like this when we need your help and sympathy, you just pass the whole thing off as a joke. Poor Claire's heart is broken and mine's turned into a lump of clay. And it does seem to me that if you had a spark of manhood about you, you would take this son by the hand and make him go through with this promise. How am I going to face everybody?
Well, why don't you take a trip, Inez? Go see your mother, and you won't have to face everybody.
A trip? And leave Clara here to bear the brunt of this herself?
I'll be okay. Everybody in town will talk about it for the rest of their lives, but I'll get along.
Why don't you take her with her? Marry her off to your mom's neighbor down there, okay, Knutson? Everything's available.
I didn't ask for anybody to marry me off of Kitty Knutson.
How to get this foolish idea out of his head? He's just got to marry her, Will. You've got to do this for him.
Did he promise to marry you?
He wrote to me for 2 whole years, didn't he?
I didn't have anybody else's address.
Will, you've got to make him do it. You just gotta make him do it.
Now, wait a minute, Inez. You act as if he were 5 years old and you were making him, want me to make him go to Sunday school or something. This is a little different. He's a full-grown man, and in this country, you don't say, my son, the time has come for you to marry Lorena Bobbitt. You let him marry who and when he wants to. And Clara, I don't want anyone to marry this guy. From where I stand, he's not much of a prize. I hate to be a girl, wake up every morning and stare at that face over the breakfast table for the rest of my life.
It never fails, Will. You have the most misplaced sense of humor any man ever had. And just when we need you to have a little serious thinking and cooperation, you some big joke.
What?
I wouldn't be surprised if you burst out laughing at my funeral.
Well, what's the first three letters of funeral? Well, I mean, as it might do, you tell people listening out there, you probably just reminded me of a sending hand who's been shoot off of her eggs when you get good and bad and couldn't have your own way. Come on, Inez, they'll settle this to suit themselves.
But Claire needs someone to stand by her.
She's already got you in the whole town. Give them some privacy.
Why do you think I wrote you all those stacks of letters if I didn't want to marry you?
Well, not to prove your little point, you know it. You know what you used to put in them letters? I used to read the boys' parts on them. They didn't give a hoot. And when they read me parts of their letters, well, they sounded way better than yours. You didn't put anything in them except stuff like, today I crocheted my 17th tablecloth. I sure hope you come home soon so we can start to use them. Or, gee, I hope our house has got a big bay window, because I bought a big bird cage, and it'd look good in the big bay window.
Well, why do you think I made you all those things if I didn't want to marry you? Well, I spent hours and hours.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Why didn't you put some time into a defense plant, or a hospital, and help me and the boys get home a little quicker?
Well, you want to know why? I'll tell you. I didn't think you wanted me to go to work.
Oh, don't give me that. Some of us boys, we'd rather sit home on the couch too. But we went places we didn't want to go. We did things that we didn't want to do. And I know that people just stand around and don't do anything, or stand around like an oak tree during a drought.
Well, Ed Smith says the thing he likes most about me is that I've never changed. I'm still the same as the day I graduated from high school. Sweet and everything. And don't think I haven't had plenty of other fellows trying to take me out, because I have.
Yeah, it's too bad they wouldn't have you now. Too old and everything.
Is that so? Well, let me tell you this much. I could go out on the street and get a fellow just any old time I want.
Oh, now, Clara.
You know very well I was the most popular girl in the whole high school. All I had to do was glance at fellows and they practically fell all over me.
Well, yeah, it's too bad you lost that little touch.
What makes you think I lost my touch? I said I could get a fella just any old time I wanted, didn't I? Well, I can.
Well, I have to see it to believe it. You're just like an overconfident woman. Once they love a man, they think they can do it all the way up till their grandmothers.
So you think I'm old and fat, do ya?
Now that was your idea.
Well, I'll tell you this much, and I'll show you this much. Ed Smith is plenty crazy about me, and I'll bring him back here to tell you so.
Well, I'll have to see it to believe it.
But I'm not doing this for nothing, and don't you forget it. Do you know what I mean?
No, not really.
You've got to save me from being the laughing stock of this town. So in other words, you're going through with the wedding. I can't stand the humiliation of not being married. Is it a promise?
You bring a man back here this afternoon, and you'll be married on Friday, or so help me.
I'll show you. I'll be back in less than 10 minutes and make you take back everything you said.
Yeah, is this Smith Feed Store? I talked to Ed Smith real quick. Well, he's not there. Where's he at? Was he up at the ranch? He's not there. Well, did he go uptown or downtown? We don't know that either. Well, did he take the car? We don't know anything. Dad, I'm taking the car for a bit.
It's an electric car. Unplug it this time before you take off.
I wonder where
fast. She wouldn't answer when I yelled at her.
Well, just wait until Steve and that nurse of his see this. They won't be pouring out so much advice on bodybuilding courses then. Well, I used to be the guys in the draft board and didn't think I was any good unless the tip scales to 210.
Well, when do you think they'll take you?
Well, right away, I imagine. Some guy's figuring a fat one. You gotta admit that. Well, haven't you?
I guess so, really.
Well, I'm wired. Wiry as a cat. Well, you gotta admit, it'd be harder for the enemy to hit me than one of those big hippie fellows. Well, haven't you?
I suppose so, Willie.
Well, in all this time, they've been ignoring guys like me. Well, it's high time they start lowering the requirements. Let in some of the good material for a change. So you'll wait for me, won't you, Virgie?
Well, how long do you think you'll be?
Oh, I don't know. It shouldn't be so awful long once I get over there. What difference does it make? It won't be over 10 or 20 years.
But there won't be anything for me to do.
Well, you can just sit here and wait, can't you, Virgie?
I don't know.
Well, there's not much point in you doing anything wrong. The guy's got to have something to fight for, hasn't he?
Well, I guess so. But
Well, and I've been thinking of the whole while, while you're in the very thick of battle. And I just want to picture you sitting here waiting on me to come walking down the path. You'll do that for me, won't you, Virgie? Just sit here and wait.
well, I guess so. If you want me to.
Well, I'm certainly glad we got that settled. I guess it about takes care of everything. I could probably leave any time now.
Well, it doesn't take care of dinner. Come on out. You can help peel the potatoes.
Why don't you make one of those blueberry shortcakes with whipped cream?
Come on, coast is clear.
Well, what will I say when your mother finds me here?
You won't have to say anything. I'll say it for you and how.
You don't think Steve saw us, do you?
How could he? He shot over the yard like he was in a B-29. Boy, will he be let down when he gets down to the station to find your train already gone. Would have proved one thing anyway, that Steve sure cleared up things around here.
It doesn't prove a thing at all. He might have never been coming to the station.
But where else would he be going with that grim, determined look on his face?
If we gotten into such a mess out here, Pap, I need my head examined.
You came out here because you wanted to get him, didn't you?
Hey now, Pat.
Don't act like a woman. Why don't you just be honest? You knew there was nothing wrong with him besides being in love with you. But you knew that before you got out here, didn't you?
Well,
Why you gotta be ashamed of it? The way they're always gushing about love and songs and stuff made me think it was pretty alright.
oh, it's such a mess, Pat. I'm not sure Steve wouldn't marry Claire and then tell her he won't. I just better get out of here.
Wait, no! I never wanted to marry Claire, I never have! She'd make a perfectly terrible sister-in-law. Come on, I'll be your bag. He'll love me forever for keeping you from catching that train.
Seems to me if he wanted to catch me, he'd have come to the station himself.
Well, how could he? The mom and that Amazon of a Claire are holding him fast.
Will, bring me an aspirin. I've simply got to lie down. One of my nervous headaches is coming on.
You know, I bet it's another one of those mistranslations in the Bible. You know where it says that they made woman out of Adam's rib? I bet she was made out of his nervous system.
You know, if you had the sensitive reactions of a normal father, you'd have a headache too.
Take your bill and quit your stewing. They'll work things out to suit themselves, and there's nothing we can do about it.
There certainly is if you just do your duty. You as a father have no right to let Steve ruin Claire's life like this.
Well, he'll certainly ruin it if he marries her.
There you go again. Acting as though this just is nothing. You don't consider my feelings at all. How am I ever supposed to face Rachel again with my son walking out on her daughter? You're just as thoughtless and cruel as Brad Olson.
But not half as cruel as you are, Mother.
Patty, we do not talk back to your mother in this house when she has her hearing aids in.
Sorry, Father, but I've got to just this once. You want to lie to me? I think you ought to be gonna finish, because Daddy's got slow things as truck meat track is. And he knows if he says anything, he'll get these awful headaches and hysterics. And he doesn't want to make you feel that way, I assume, because he loves you. But I love you too. And I love Steve almost just as much. And it's high time someone in this family starts sticking up for him for a change. He's in love with Shirley Anderson, his nurse.
He can't be.
Well, he is. And if either of you two weren't so blind, you'd have seen it right from the beginning.
Well, she's gone, thank goodness. So
She's not gone. I went down to the station and brought her back myself.
well, I won't have it.
Sit down.
Oh, my head, it's simply splitting.
Mother, isn't it better for your head to ache one day than Steve's the rest of his life?
He's so... He's so young. He's so young. He doesn't know what he wants. My duty as a mother is to protect him from something he'll regret the rest of his life.
It's your duty to be a good mother to keep out of this, Inez.
Hey, Steve is coming back now. He doesn't know Shirley's back, so don't say a thing.
I don't want to see him. I don't want to see anybody.
Hey, does anybody know where Ed's good things out? I gotta get hold of him before Clara does.
Ed Smith? Well, he's usually over at the feed store, down at his chicken ranch, or up looking for chicks at the chicken.
I called the feed store, they said he's not off the ranch. I just drove by the chicken. I thought that was our pickup outside.
It wasn't my pickup, it was one that looked like my pickup. What's the big urge to see him? Didn't know you guys were buddies.
Well, we're not, but we could be if I get a hold of him.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Hey, what's the matter? Oh, what are you worrying for? There he is now.
Yeah, but Claire's with him already.
Well, excuse me. If this is gonna be another female whaling session, count me out. Come on, Claire, you and Patty, you make your contribution.
Well, what did I tell ya?
What's this, an Alan Jackson knockoff? Hi, Ed, how you been? I ain't seen you since I got back. Sit down, let's visit a little.
I didn't come here to visit.
That's right, Ed. Tell him what you said you would.
He's sure that crazy, Willie. Hello, Ed. Clara, why were you running up the street so fast a little while ago? Run out of thread?
No, I didn't run out of thread. First of all, Steve Cameron, I want you to notice the time. You said you'd marry me if I was back in 10 minutes. Well, I made it, didn't I?
Well, yeah, but
And if you still have any conceited ideas that I'm not attractive to other men, I want you to listen to a few things Ed here's got to say to you. Go on, Ed.
Sure, I'm just
First, tell him what you think of my looks. Go on. Tell him.
With pleasure. It seems you made some cracks here a while ago about Clara being too fat, is that right?
well, I said,
Well, you said too much, Steve. I've come here to set the record straight. Well, she's just perfect. She's like Venus, only more so. Well, she is, ain't she?
well, you got the morsel part right.
Just because you can't recognize a pretty gal when you see one is no reason to go casting any slanderous remarks. If that little sack of bones that calls herself a nurse is what you'd like to waste your time on, all I can say is you have my sympathy. I'd just as soon be courting a skeleton.
You'd be one if you ever tried courting me.
Some doesn't get to go.
Ed, pay attention. Tell him what you think. Tell him if you think I lost my old technique.
Listen here, every time she's walked down Main Street in the last 2 years, there hasn't been a man that gets my back to work for the rest of the day. Whether you know it or not, you've been making offensive remarks against the town's #1 pinup gal.
impossible.
Forced on him? Forced on him? Go on, Ed. Tell her off. Go on.
Whether you know it or not, sister, you're talking to a lady here.
Now you hang on. You be careful or I'll put you out of the egg business today.
Ed, could you come here to discuss? I'd like to know. Leave her out of this. She doesn't even matter. Tell her what you told me earlier. It sounded plenty good.
Okay. Listen, Cameron, you got a lot of nerve practically forcing this poor girl here to mail those invitations.
Now hang on a minute.
Ed, go ahead.
Now, I admit this little romance about a long time ago, but I just thought Claire was crazy over you. And then when she told me she never did care two boots about you, well, I just got burned up over the time I'd wasted. And I think if I hadn't been doing my fair share, well, I'd like to tell you my chickens have laid enough eggs and made an ancient food cake as big as the state of it. Well, I haven't let the chickens do all the work either. I want to ask you one question, smart guy. Where would the country be without eggs?
Ed. Come here to talk about your chickens. Go on. Tell them about me.
So where do you think the country would be without the egg?
What?
Tell them about me.
Oh, well, what I've been telling you about Claire is true, see, and she'll make a mighty good wife for some man, won't she?
Yeah, for somebody. Back to the eggs.
See? I suppose now you want to come crawling back, begging me to marry you. But I won't. I'm going to marry Ed and have him build me a big house with a big bay window on his chicken ranch.
Yeah, and that'll show you who's a better man, won't it? And in the future, don't come around trying to see her, because if you do, I'm going to clip you, see? And if anybody asks how come your name is on our wedding invitations, you just tell them the printers are mad spelling and wrote Smith like Cameron.
See, are you hurt?
Hurt? I never felt better in my life.
Well, for goodness sakes, Virgin, I've been stirring that pot till my nose feels like a roasted wiener about to pop. What's taking so long?
You quit your yelling at me, Willie Williams. I'm not taking orders from any man.
Well, don't act like that, Virgin. A foreign legionnaire likes to think of the girl he left behind as being sweet and mild.
Well, then you better find your one who is, because starting right now, I'm doing just what I feel like.
Sounds like a wife.
But I know one thing. I'm not going to sit by any window and wait. I'm going to find me a job or something.
But Virgin. Sometimes you stay.
Well,
I won't have to get a train to chase after you.
Well, with the help of the junior league, you know, you have one member of your family that'll go into battle unflinchingly.
Patty?
Yep. You know, in time, I may just marry you, just to get her for sister-in-law.
In time, nothing. We're gonna have that 10-day honeymoon or bust.
well, I less or more reconciled myself to you marrying this girl, Stevie. Even though everybody's gonna be a little surprised how soon the wedding is, though.
You don't have to tell them, Mom. We'll bribe them to keep it out of the papers.
I have to tell them sometime.
Well, that's on your own accord. We won't carry it away, will we, Snub-Nose?
It'll be wonderful.
Come on, we gotta get them horses rounded up.
Inez Cameron, played by Amy Nielsen. Bill Cameron, played by Brad Olson. Steve Cameron, played by Tucker Petrak. Our newcomers this year, Virgie Cameron, played by Sierra Keene. Willie Williams, played by Chance Keene. Patty Cameron, played by Stella Lawrence. Mary Alice Smith, played by Cheyenne Lawrence. Another newcomer, Lieutenant Shirley Anderson, Kelly Palmer. Ed Smith, played by Galen Swanson. Alan Jackson. And Buffy Gerard played two parts, Mrs. Sorensen and Clara Curtis.
Pam Petrak and Janine Kiner. Thank you very, very, very much for coming.
Thank you.